It's October 26, 1440. On a small island in the Loire River, in front of a silent and horrified crowd, a French nobleman is hanged and then burned. His name is Gilles de Rais, once a war hero and companion of Joan of Arc, now condemned for unspeakable horrors. According to his accusers, he tortured, raped, and murdered dozens, maybe hundreds of children. His name has since become shrouded in mystery and terror. To some, he was the first serial killer in history. To others, a victim of political and religious power. Who was Gilles de Rais really? A bloodthirsty monster? Or a scapegoat, sacrificed by the church and the crown? This is his story. To understand who Gilles de Rais was, we need to go back in time. We're in the midst of the 100 Years' War, a brutal, devastating conflict between France and England that began in 1337 and would last, well, a little more than a century. France is a fractured land. Famines, plagues, civil wars. Nobles fight for power while the people starve. And it's in this setting that Gilles de Rais is born in 1404, into one of the wealthiest and most powerful families in the Loire region. His real name was Gilles de Montmorency-Laval. He was born in the castle of Champtocé-sur-Loire and raised in an aristocratic environment where violence and power were part of everyday life. But tragedy strikes early. Both his parents die while he's still a child, and he's entrusted to his grandfather, Jean de Cron, a ruthless, greedy, manipulative man. Many believe it was he who shaped Gilles into what he would later become. As a young man, Gilles receives an elite military and political education. He's intelligent, cultured, charismatic, and most of all, ambitious. By age 16, he's already fighting in battles against the English. But everything changes in 1429, when he meets a girl who would alter the course of French history, Joan of Arc. Gilles becomes one of her key commanders in the campaign to liberate Orléans. They fight side by side. When the city is freed, his name becomes legendary. He's appointed Marshal of France, the highest military rank. He's only 25 years old. But with the execution of Joan of Arc, burned at the stake in 1431, something breaks inside him. He withdraws from the battlefield and begins a slow, steady decline. In just a few years, Gilles goes from being a national hero to one of the most controversial and discussed nobles in France. He lives in extravagant castles and throws lavish parties. He spends fortunes to finance theatrical plays, often starring himself, complete with extravagant sets, musicians, dancers, and feasts. At one of his castles, Tiffauges, he maintains over 200 servants. But this lifestyle has a cost. Gilles starts selling land, villages, even entire castles, just to sustain his luxury. When the money runs out, his focus shifts to something far darker: alchemy, the occult, black magic. He wants to summon demons. He wants to make a pact with the devil. He desperately wants to turn lead into gold. He hires alchemists, sorcerers, necromancers. The most notorious is François Perlati, an Italian cleric rumored to have direct contact with demonic entities. Together, they perform secret rituals in the basements of his castles. And meanwhile, children from nearby villages begin to disappear.
At first, they're just rumors, desperate families looking for missing children. But no one dares openly accuse a powerful man like Gilles de Rais. According to later testimonies, the Baron and his accomplices lured poor children, mostly boys, into his homes. They used servants or traps, false promises of work, gifts, or food. Once inside, the children were taken to hidden rooms, far from prying eyes. Gilles, according to confessions, would rape, torture, and kill them, often while watching them suffer or actively participating. Some witnesses said he took pleasure in watching the children's final expressions, in tormenting them, in watching them die slowly. Their bodies were burned, buried, or dismembered. Servants were tasked with removing every trace. According to the trial records, at least 40 victims were confirmed, but the real number might be over 100. Some historians suggest 140 or more.
In 1440, Gilles makes a fatal mistake. For financial reasons, he had sold a castle, but then forcefully took it back. The problem? The buyer was connected to the Duke of Brittany, and that sets off a chain of events that can't be stopped. The Duke launches an investigation. Surprisingly, the focus soon shifts from the castle to the missing children. Witnesses begin to speak. Some servants confess. Even the church steps in. Gilles is arrested and tried both by civil and ecclesiastical courts. At first, he denies everything, but then he breaks. He confesses, talks about the rituals, the murders, the torture. He begs for forgiveness, shows remorse, describes the crimes with chilling clarity. He's sentenced to death. Alongside him, 2 accomplices, Henri and Poitou. On October 26, 1440, all 3 are hanged and burned. Gilles asks to die first. Chroniclers report that he died praying, in public, with great dignity. Some witnesses wept.
In the centuries that followed, Gilles de Rais became a legend. His story inspired folk tales, songs, and chronicles. In 1697, Charles Perrault writes Bluebeard, the story of a man who kills his wives and hides their bodies in a secret room. Many believe Gilles was the inspiration for the character. But it wasn't just legend. His story has inspired modern writers, artists, and musicians. He remains an ambiguous symbol, brilliance and madness, sainthood and horror, hero and killer. In 1992, a group of French scholars, historians, and lawyers decided to re-examine the case. A symbolic trial, yes, but one with a clear question. Was Gilles de Rais truly guilty? There's no physical evidence, only confessions. Confessions possibly extracted through torture. Some say it was all a political plot, to eliminate a troublesome noble and seize his wealth. Others argue that his connection to Joan of Arc, herself condemned for heresy, made him suspect in the church's eyes. The verdict of the 1992 trial? Gilles is acquitted. But he remains a tragic, controversial figure. And, as is often the case, the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Was Gilles de Rais a monster? A martyr? A product of his time? The only certainty is that his story still haunts us, still divides opinions, still sparks debate. And as history often shows us, the real monsters don't always have horns or fangs. Sometimes they wear golden armor, are praised as heroes, and only later reveal their true face. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark past of Gilles de Rais, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. In the next episodes, we'll explore more chilling true crime cases from history. I'm Cultural Archives, and this is your weekly dive into the mysteries of the past.